Money FM 89.3. Best of breakfast. Companies to watch.
That's right. We've got a bit of a list for you to look at when it comes to companies to watch.
That's
Delight Food Dan joins us again.
Hello, Mr. Randy Ryan.
Where's this going?
I'm trying to get something out of here. But yes, welcome to Companies to Watch. That's a segment where we spotlight and stock you up with ideas of listed companies that will call for your attention. So we're looking at market trends to risks, as well as hidden gems or warning signs to steer clear of. 8855-0893 and tell us whether you think it's going to be hot or not. You ready, Ryan?
Yeah. What have you got on the menu?
Okay. Now, this stock is worth about 57 cents. And returning to a leading postal and e-commerce logistics provider in the Asia Pacific. So I'll give you a couple of seconds to think about it. The portfolio of businesses spans from national and international postal services to warehousing and fulfillment, international freight forwarding, and last mile delivery, serving customers in more than 220 global destinations. Can you give them the name, Ryan?
Yeah, it starts with the letter S, and it's
with
the
a T.
only postal service provider in Singapore.
Yeah, that's right. And that makes it the leader as well. So since its inception in 1858, SingPost has evolved and innovated to bring about the best-in-class integrated logistics solutions and services, making every delivery count for people and the planet. When was the last time you sent a postal service, right?
Yeah, I just say a national postal service provider. I'm sure there are other couriers around.
For sure.
Right, last time was about last month. Yeah, I think it goes to the point how a lot of people don't really mail stuff like they used to. It's all electronic.
Yeah, not as often as we do. So the reason why I've brought this company to our attention today is because they've recently reported their financial earnings report, and I'm sure investors will be keeping a keen eye on this one. So it looks like SingPost's net profit for the second half ended March 31st had surged 200%, Ryan, to $222.5 million from $66.9 million in the corresponding year.
Oh, okay.
ago
Sounds
period.
like pretty good news.
But there's a caveat, Ryan. This comes after the National Postal Service provider recorded an exceptional gain from the divestment of its Australia business. So the $222.2 million comprises largely of a gain on disposal of SingPost Australia investments of $302.1 million, as well as fair value gains on properties of $15.2 million, and partially offset by impairment charges of $79.6 million, primarily for Quantium Solutions. So on April 16th, this comes as SingPost and Alibaba have agreed to unwind their respective minority cross-shareholdings on the Quantium Solutions, so that, I suppose, affected the amount that they actually had to gain from the divestment for the Australia investments.
Yep.
And that being said, I mean, the logistics company was, majority owned by SingPost. So SingPost had to pay Alibaba $36.89 million for its stake.
Yeah.
Excluding the net exceptional gain, let's look deeper into how SingPost did perform for its operations. Underlying net loss for the second half stood at $461,000. That's versus a net profit of $28.1 million in the year ago period.
Okay, so profit really being skewed by the one-off gains. I think clearer picture will come from the revenue. How much has it been doing?
So it's been down about 12.1% at $387.5 million for the half-year period. That's from $440.6 million previously. So earnings per share stood at 9.89 cents, including distribution to perpetual securities holders from 2.97 cents, and excluding the distribution, earnings per share stood at 9.65. For the full year though, Ryan, net profit had jumped 212.9% on the year to $245.1 million, like what you've mentioned, skewed by the divestment of the Australia business. Revenue was down 7.5% at $813.7 million.
Yeah, so pretty much a picture that is showing SingPost going through a bit of a sluggish quarter, a sluggish year, saved by the one-off gain. Revenue down, even though we think e-commerce, more people are going shopping. They've got to send all these parcels. Not helping enough.
Exactly. And in fact, on top of the recent divestment of its Australia investment, SingPost had proposed a special dividend of 9 cents per share, and the date payable and record date will be announced later this month.
We'll put this in context. 9 cents per share. The share price is at 57 cents.
That's quite a fair
So
amount,
that means it's about 15% yield. That is a bit unusual, I would say, or interesting.
Yeah, quite a significant chunk out of its share price here, Ryan. But having considered all things, I suppose this one-off, divestment is just to reward its investors for keeping their hopes up with SingPost here. In terms of property, operating profit for the period was up 17.8% at $24.5 million from $20.8 million previously, largely due to higher rental income from SingPost Centre. So it seems like they're doing a lot better in terms of the, rental aspects of their business. Would you say so?
Yeah, they've got a few property plays, but I think they've been trying to find a way to help them diversify the revenue streams. Australia was one place they were looking at, but I think with the divestment of some of the assets there, it's starting to see them go through a bit of a strategic review as well. So I think it's an ongoing journey, which I believe we have not seen the end yet. So fingers crossed they have an answer.
Exactly, because this is certainly a transitional period for them, considering how their operating profit for the second half for its Singapore Postal and Logistics segment had fallen by 55.5% on the year to $7.4 million from $16.6 million. So it does show how they need to diversify their business plan and strategic approach moving forward. SingPost did say that the global economic outlook remains clouded by ongoing trade tensions with US tariffs and retaliatory measures by key trading partners. And they did add that in the logistics sector, the impact has been particularly pronounced.
Tariffs, of course, will have an impact on activities cross-border.
Certainly. So it seems like people will be holding their cash back and maybe just sending lesser postal service, I guess. So SingPost did add that these challenging conditions intensified in the second half of the financial year are expected to persist in the coming financial year ahead. With that being said, and keeping that in mind, I'm probably going to go with a nod, Ryan.
Yeah, we also have to, remind folks that SingPost has been going through some corporate moves as well in terms of the recent scandal, or not scandal, saga, senior management turnover. So that was a big piece of corporate drama that came through in the earlier part of this year. So that kind of shows there's a lot going on. They've got to find the right people to take charge and lead them out of this entire situation. So
that's right.
Ongoing process. And I also am reminded of how they've been going through a bit of a process for many years. When I was growing up, I remember seeing pots and pans in SingPost's branches, right? They've been trying to sell a lot of stuff through their branches at one point, and then now they're going through another transformation of sorts. So a long journey, not an easy business, I suppose, with all the headwinds they are facing right now.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, as of the 16th of May, it seems like our consensus rating is giving us a different take here, right? Tip ranks Yahoo and Barron's all giving it a buy rating. So that pretty much wraps it for our analysis of today's Stock in Focus, SingPost. Now, Ryan, SingPost's history can be traced back to 1819, shortly after Singapore was founded. Initially, the post office was part of the Marine Office and later became a separate department in 1858. Do you know where Singapore's oldest post office is at?
I think it's at Fullerton. Is that right?
It's in Geylang. It was opened back in 1930. So why don't envelopes reproduce?
No idea.
Because they're all mail. Okay, Ryan. Happy Friday, everyone. And that's all we have for SingPost.
Before acting on the information on Money FM, please consider if it's suitable for your own investment objectives, financial situation, and risk tolerance. To listen to more great interviews, download our podcasts at audio.sg or download the audio app. That's AWEDIO, audio at the App Store and Google Play.